I got an email from a student of mine, I believe he is in Sweden, in which he asked me, can you kindly record a video on the importance of the year 1917? And here's my response. That in the Quran, I don't recall now which surah it is, Allah has asked us, بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وذكرهم بأيام الله, and remind them that they might ponder and reflect over the days of Allah. So we have a duty to check upon the movement of history and how the days of Allah unfolded in the movement of history. One of the most dramatic of all of the days of Allah in history was that day when Musa alayhi salam, the Prophet Moses, was told, take your rod and strike the water. And the Red Sea parted. And when the Red Sea parted, the Israelite people were able to cross on dry land to Sinai. But when Pharaoh and his armed forces attempted to cross on that dry land with mountains of water on both sides, a path had been made by Allah when he struck the water. Then the waters came down and he was drowned. That was one of the most important of the days of Allah. And in the previous recording, we pointed out that the story did not end when he and his army were all drowned, but that when he was drowning, that something happened, that he realized that he was not God. Before this, he was proclaiming, Ana Rabbukum al-A'la, I am the Lord Most High. But he realized that, no, it's wrong. I am not the Lord God, but the God of Moses and the Israelite people. And he declared his faith in the God of the Israelite people. To which Allah then responded, and CNN was not there to record this event. It's recorded only in the Quran and nowhere else. That Allah then said to him, now, today, Pharaoh, today you proclaim your faith in me, and before this you were in obstinate and arrogant rejection, and you are committing fasad on earth, meaning that kind of corruption which leads to destruction. فَالْيَوْمَ نُنَجِّيكَ بِبَدَنِكَ, this day I have decided to preserve your physical body, لِتَكُونَ لِمَنْ خَلْفَكَ آيَةً, that when your physical body is discovered, when it resurfaces in history, it will function, listen carefully, as a sign for a people to come after you. وَإِنَّ كَثِيرًا مِنَ النَّاسِ عَنْ آيَاتِنَا لَغَافِلُونَ, but most people are heedless of my signs. So we ask the question, well, the body of Pharaoh was discovered in the year 1897. And we also noted, if we are allowed to think. Would you allow me to repeat that? If we are allowed to think. We noticed that the Zionist movement was also established about the same time. And so we ask the question, what is the sign of Allah that will now unfold in the world for a people to come after Pharaoh? Because now the body has been discovered. And the answer which I gave, and of course they shut the doors on the masjid on me, anytime I think. So the answer which I gave was that the sign is not only that this Quran is absolute truth, and it therefore predicted this event correctly, but more than that. It seems as though I was the only voice to ever voice this explanation, and that's why they hate me. I said the sign is that the history will now repeat itself, and that a people will emerge in history who will live the way Pharaoh lived, who will be people of power, and they will use their power in an arrogant way to oppress the way Pharaoh oppressed. And they will oppress the people who worship the one God. And these people who will now appear in history are the Zionists. And it is the state of Israel that they will establish, which will become the new Pharaoh. And they will be oppressing the people who worship Allah, and these are Orthodox Christians and Muslims. And I said that the sign is that a people who live and who oppress the way Pharaoh did will die the way Pharaoh died. And of course, anytime I offer an explanation of the Quran, which is not located in the tafsir, they shut the doors of the masjid on me. It's not only the masajid which are shutting their doors on me now. The Islamic bookshops around the world refuse to carry my books. That's the pathetic state in which we are today. So now then, that was in 1897. And my student in Sweden asked me to speak on the year 1917. I asked the question, why is it that I have to be a lonely voice doing this work? I may not be in this world for long again. I'm now in my 85 years of age by the moon. And it is time for my students, I have many students, I thank Allah for that, to learn to read history. The way you read the stars, to connect the stars to be able to locate direction, so too you must connect events in history in order to be able to read and understand the movement of history. And so now then, it was in 1897 that the Zionist movement was established in Basel, Switzerland. And therefore, the world will now witness a series of events unfolding in the world, which will culminate the way that event culminated underneath the sea, in the Red Sea, with Pharaoh declaring his fate after having rejected the faith all his life. And Pharaoh then believing in the one God, and that whatever he had done to the Israelite people was unjust, and he's going to pay the price for it. So too history will now end with the state of Israel and its supporters realizing at the very end of history that they were taken for a ride. And they're now going to suffer the same fate that Pharaoh suffered.